The stars had always been quiet for humanity. Earth had grown strong, yes, but its reach in the galaxy was small. Other races called them reckless, unpredictable, and untested. Yet on this quiet morning, a signal from the distant edge of known space would change everything. The alert came at Fleet Command on Earth Station Alpha. The screen flickered as the communications officer replayed the incoming message. It was a distress call. Unlike any humans had seen before, the alien voice was urgent, desperate, almost trembling with fear. Words translated into the universal language of the Galactic Council. "We are under attack. Our people are dying. Please, help us." Commander Elias Grant leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the message. He had faced crises before. But this was different. The alien civilization, known as the Virelians, were highly advanced. Their technology rivaled some of the most formidable races in known space. Yet now, they were pleading for aid. "Has anyone traced the source?" Grant asked. Voice calm but sharp. Lieutenant Mira Solis checked the navigation panel. "Yes, sir. Virelia. Sector Delta 19. They are heavily surrounded by unknown warships. We are detecting heavy destruction on their planet's surface." Grant frowned. "Delta 19. That's far. Our fleets there would be small. Really small." Solis hesitated, then said, "Sir, we only have the recon division ready. That's 5 ships at full deployment. 5 ships. A tiny fleet by any standard. And yet, they were all humanity could spare." Other nations of the galaxy ignored the call, calling it a trap or a distraction. But for humanity, ignoring a plea for help was not an option. Grant rubbed his chin, thinking, "We may be small, but we have something they don't. Creativity. Determination. They call it reckless, maybe it is. But it's ours. Prep the fleet. We leave in 2 hours." Within the next hour, the small human fleet gathered at the dock. 5 ships, each no larger than a mid-tier warship, sleek but powerful. Crew members moved quickly, checking systems, calibrating weapons, and running simulations. There was no hesitation. Every human aboard knew that what awaited them was dangerous. They also knew that human courage often defied logic. Captain Leora Chen, commanding the starship Dauntless, stepped onto the bridge. She surveyed her crew with sharp eyes. "We may be small, but we are fast, clever, and unstoppable if we use our minds. The Virelians need hope. Let's give it to them." Her words, simple but strong, spread through the fleet like a spark. The humans felt it, the familiar thrill of challenge, the rush of the unknown, and the quiet pride in being unpredictable in a galaxy that often underestimated them. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, the stars stretching into long lines around them. Hours passed in tense silence. Most crew members ran simulations, practiced emergency maneuvers, or simply stared at the screens, trying to imagine what awaited them. On the planet Virelia, chaos reigned. Cities once gleaming with advanced architecture were now darkened by fire and smoke. Alien warships hovered above, firing relentlessly. Civilians ran through streets in terror. Defensive drones were being destroyed faster than they could respond. The invaders were methodical, brutal, and overwhelming in number. The Virelian leaders had tried to organize their defense, yet panic was spreading. One of them, Chancellor Velen, sighed as he watched yet another defense station crumble. "We have waited too long for help," he murmured. "The galaxy abandoned us." Then, like a glimmer in the dark, the signal from the humans arrived in their systems. Virelia's defense monitors lit up with 5 small but precise signatures. The aliens stared at the screen in disbelief. Humans? They were sending 5 ships to save them? Surely this was a joke. But the signal was real. And hope, fragile as it was, began to stir. The human fleet exited hyperspace near Virelia. The first view of the planet was grim. Smoke choked the atmosphere. Cities burned like candles in the night. The invaders were everywhere. It seemed impossible that 5 ships could make any difference. Captain Chen tightened her grip on the command console. Let's be smart. We may be small, but they won't predict our moves. Prepare for evasive approach. Keep shields high. Avoid direct engagement until we see their formation. Lieutenant Solis scanned the enemy lines. Sir, they are advanced. Energy weapons, fast maneuvering. They have the planet surrounded. This is extreme odds, Chen nodded. Good. Odds like that are perfect for humans. Ready the decoy drones. I want them thinking we are bigger than we are. Let's make them hesitate. The humans moved with quiet precision. The decoy drones shimmered into view, mimicking a fleet twice their size. Enemy sensors flickered. Recalculating, the humans moved through gaps in the battle formation, small ships darting like predators between trees. Every movement was calculated, yet daring. Down on Virelia, the aliens watched in amazement. One officer whispered, "They are clever. They are not like other races. They are different." Captain Chen's voice cut through the fleet's communication channel. Remember, we are here to save lives first, strike second, protect the civilians. We will hit their supply lines and confuse them. Make every move count. The first encounter came swiftly. An enemy frigate detected the human ships and fired. The humans dodged with maneuvers that seemed impossible. Small bursts of energy from the Dauntless disabled the frigate's engines without destroying the ship. The enemy was stunned. "Commander," Solis said, eyes wide. "They can't believe we survived that." Chen smiled faintly. "They shouldn't. Humans never play by the rules they expect." Back on the planet, civilians caught glimpses of the small fleet. It was barely enough to notice in the sky, yet the humans were precise. They evacuated key zones, neutralized enemy forces threatening population centers, and left before the invaders could adapt. The Virelians began murmuring in disbelief. Chancellor Velen watched a human ship swoop past a collapsing district, lasers disabling enemy siege machines. By the stars, they are doing what we could not. 5 ships. He shook his head. How is this possible? The humans continued to move. They were fast, unpredictable, and clever. They relied on their brains, their instincts, and their willingness to take risks. While other races might rely on sheer firepower, humans combined ingenuity and courage in ways the galaxy rarely saw. A young Virelian soldier whispered to his companion, Are these humans? Heroes? They may be more than that, his friend replied. They may be legends. As the first day of battle drew to a close, the humans regrouped in orbit. No ship was destroyed, though some sustained damage. Captain Chen reviewed the damage reports and nodded with satisfaction. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. The Virelians are alive, and their people have hope. Tomorrow, we strike deeper. Lieutenant Solis looked at the commander. Do you think they respect us yet? Chen shook her head, a faint smile on her face. Respect comes after trust. They've seen us act. Tomorrow, they'll see us fight. And then, they'll understand. Below, on the planet, the Virelians gathered in makeshift command centers, watching the stars where the humans moved. Whispers filled the air. Hope. Courage. A belief that maybe, just maybe, they were not alone in the galaxy. The human fleet hovered in orbit, small but defiant, preparing for the next day. They were humanity's smallest fleet, yes, but in skill, daring, and determination, they were unmatched. And for the first time in weeks, Virelia felt like it might survive. The stars above Virelia burned like cold fire, glittering over a planet in chaos. From orbit, the human fleet watched the destruction below. Smoke rose in thick columns from cities once bright with technology and culture. Civilians ran in panic, and alien defense drones struggled to repel the invaders. Captain Leora Chen studied the holographic battle map projected on the bridge of the Dauntless. Every flicker on the screen represented a threat, a life in danger, or an opportunity. She had led humans through countless challenges. But this, This was the first time she faced an entire planet under siege with only 5 ships. "Status report," she said, voice calm but commanding. Lieutenant Mira Solis moved quickly through the data. "The enemy is everywhere, sir. They have established control over the main orbital routes and key ground positions. Planetary defense is weak, they are barely holding. The Varelians are trying to organize evacuation, but they are overwhelmed." Chen nodded. "Then we make ourselves the difference. We strike where they are weakest and save as many lives as possible. Keep the civilians safe. Engage only when necessary. Evasive maneuvers at all times." The human fleet split into small teams, darting between enemy patrols. Each move was calculated, yet daring. Unlike other races, humans often relied on unpredictable tactics, small and fast strikes, and clever improvisation. The enemy, expecting predictable behavior, quickly found themselves confused. The first direct engagement came swiftly. A group of enemy frigates detected the human ships moving near a Virelian city. Energy beams flashed across the void, but the humans dodged with maneuvers that defied expectation. One ship, the Resolute, fired a pulse that temporarily disabled the engines of an attacking frigate. The enemy drifted, unable to respond, while the humans slipped past and hit another target. On the ground, Virelian soldiers watched in disbelief. How can 5 ships do this?" one whispered. Another shook his head, murmuring, "They are like ghosts. They strike and vanish." Meanwhile, Chen ordered her fleet to move closer to the planet's surface. Using the planet's natural terrain, the humans executed daring rescue missions. Evacuation drones and emergency transport shuttles moved under cover of human ships. Civilians were pulled from burning districts, and enemy units were disrupted before they could strike again. "Captain," Solis said, eyes wide, "they don't know how to respond. They're frozen by our unpredictability." Chen smiled faintly. "That's the advantage humans have. We adapt faster, think differently, and take risks no one else would. Never underestimate the underdog." "Lieutenant." Below, Chancellor Velen and his advisors monitored the fleet's movements. Their disbelief grew with each passing minute. "They are humans?" Velen asked, incredulous. 5 ships, and they are turning the tide? Impossible. Yet the humans were careful. No unnecessary destruction. No chaos beyond what was required. Every strike saved lives, disrupted the enemy, or gave hope. Civilians on the streets of Virelia glimpsed ships moving with precision and speed. Whispers spread. Hope. Courage. Perhaps salvation. In one daring move, Captain Chen directed the Dauntless toward a cluster of enemy bombers targeting a civilian evacuation route. Using small, fast drones as decoys, the humans drew the bombers away, then disabled their weapons with precise energy pulses. The bombers fell silently, harmlessly, far from the people they sought to kill. A Virelian soldier stared at the screens, jaw slack. They saved our families, without even touching the planet directly. How is this possible?" "It is human ingenuity," his commander replied, voice low. "They do not fight like the others. They fight differently." The enemy, frustrated and confused, began to adapt. Their commanders tried to anticipate human movements, but the humans were already one step ahead. They predicted patterns, feints, and ambushes. Every maneuver seemed random, yet each had purpose. Captain Chen watched from the bridge of the Dauntless. "The enemy is learning, but we will be faster. Target their supply ships next. Cut their lines of reinforcement. Make them question their control." Lieutenant Solis inputted coordinates. "Supply convoy detected, sir. They have 4 frigates. Heavily guarded." Chen's eyes narrowed. 4 frigates. Outnumbering us by far, but numbers mean little against speed, planning, and surprise. Prepare a split strike. We divide and confuse. Dauntless, with Resolute, take the left flank. The others hit their rear. Timing is critical. Are we ready? The human crews responded with synchronized precision. Drones flew ahead, mimicking additional ships. Enemy sensors detected multiple targets where there were none. The convoy faltered, unsure where to focus. Then the humans struck, not with overwhelming firepower, but with accuracy, precision, and unpredictability. One frigate lost its engines, another its weapons system. The remaining ships panicked, retreating in confusion. Civilians on the surface cheered silently. Seeing the enemy disrupted and fleeing, even Virelian leaders were forced to acknowledge the humans' brilliance. Velen muttered under his breath, "They are not just brave, they are clever, inventive, unstoppable in ways we never imagined." By the end of the first full day of engagement, the human fleet had saved several key districts, rescued hundreds of civilians, and disrupted the enemy's supply lines. Their small number had been a disadvantage, yet it forced them to be clever, precise, and bold. On the human ships, there was no time for celebration. Damage reports were checked. Minor repairs were made mid-flight. Every crew member knew the enemy would return stronger. Chen addressed her fleet over the communication channel. "Today, we did what many thought impossible. Virelia is alive. Civilians are safe. But the fight is not over. Tomorrow, we strike deeper, target the command centers, and continue to disrupt them. Remember, we fight not just for victory, but to give hope." Lieutenant Solis smiled faintly. "Hope? They need it more than firepower, don't they?" "Exactly," Chen replied. "Humans have a weapon others do not. Ingenuity, courage, and relentless spirit. That is what makes us strong, even with 5 ships against hundreds. Never forget it." As night fell on Virelia, the enemy regrouped in orbit, frustrated and confused. They had never faced tactics like this. In their arrogance, they had underestimated humanity's small fleet. Now, they faced a foe that was unpredictable, clever, and willing to risk everything for others. Meanwhile, on the planet, Virelians whispered about the humans. Stories began to spread in real time. A small fleet, moving like shadows, striking precisely, saving lives, and vanishing before retaliation. The word was almost reverent. Humans. Some even dared to say they were heroes. Chancellor Valen convened a council. "We must acknowledge them. They are not just allies. They are extraordinary. Their courage and skill surpass what we imagined. Perhaps, humanity is a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy." Even as he spoke, the human fleet hovered above, preparing for the next engagement. They were small. Yes. But determined. Every life saved, every enemy disrupted, and every act of bravery reinforced their reputation. The galaxy may have doubted them, but now the Virelians would remember the humans not for the size of their fleet, but for the size of their courage and minds. Captain Chen looked at the star-filled horizon from the bridge of the Dauntless. "Tomorrow, we go deeper. We strike harder. And they will see that humans, even in small numbers, can change the course of a war." The human fleet remained vigilant through the night. Every system was monitored, every possible threat anticipated. The Virelians watched in awe, slowly learning that humans were not only capable but unpredictable, clever, and fearless. The first day was over. The fight was far from won, but humanity had made its mark. Small in number, yes, but monumental in effect. Hope had returned to Virelia, and it came riding on 5 human starships. The stars above Virelia gleamed coldly, yet they reflected a galaxy in change. From orbit, the human fleet watched the remnants of the enemy forces fleeing. Smoke still rose from parts of the planet. But now, hope had replaced despair. 5 ships, humanity's smallest fleet, had turned the tide. Captain Leora Chen stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the battlefield. "They are retreating," she said quietly. "The enemy will not regroup for days. It's over. For now." Lieutenant Mira Solis, standing beside her, exhaled. I still can't believe it. 5 ships. And we did this. Against hundreds. They're fleeing, Chen nodded. It wasn't numbers that won this fight. It was courage, creativity, and unity. Humans are small and fleet, yes, but enormous in effect. Remember that, Lieutenant. That is who we are. On the planet below, Chancellor Velen and his council gathered in the main hall. Their eyes were wide with awe. Humans. They did what no other race could, Velen said, voice hushed. They saved our people, our cities. They struck at the enemy heart directly. And they did it with only 5 ships. One of the Virelian officers nodded. Their courage is unmatched. They are more than allies. They are something new to the galaxy. Velen looked at his council, then spoke with finality. We will honor them. They have earned our trust, our respect, and our alliance. Humanity is no longer a minor race. They are a force to be counted upon. Below, civilians gathered in open squares. The fires still smoldered, but for the first time in weeks, people laughed, cried, and hugged. Children pointed to the sky, searching for the small human ships that had changed their lives. They were heroes in legend already, even before leaving the planet. The human fleet moved cautiously, scanning for any hidden threats. Enemy ships remained in pockets of retreat, but the human strikes had left them scattered and disorganized. Chen knew that remaining careful was vital. One careless mistake could cost lives, but for now, victory belonged to those who acted with bravery and intelligence. The Virelian command reached out to the humans over secure channels. Captain Chen, your actions today have saved our civilization. You and your crew are extraordinary. We wish to offer our deepest gratitude and a permanent alliance between our peoples. Chen responded, voice calm but proud. We did what any human would do. Saving lives is our mission. But we accept your offer of friendship and alliance. Humanity respects those who value life and courage. As you do. For days, the humans assisted in evacuation, repair, and reorganization. Virelian forces, once scattered and broken, regained confidence. Under human guidance, they rebuilt critical systems, reinforced defenses, and learned new tactics. The humans did not simply fight, they taught. They shared strategies, improvisation techniques, and ways to combine courage with intelligence in battle. Chancellor Velen observed one training session. Human officers demonstrated how small units could overcome larger forces through precision and planning. They are extraordinary, Velen whispered, not just in courage but in mind. They see possibilities we cannot. They are humans, soldiers who had once doubted humanity, now trained alongside them. They saw how humans faced overwhelming odds, adapted instantly, and used creativity instead of brute strength. Morale soared. Humanity's presence did not just save Virelia, it transformed it. After a week, the last pockets of enemy resistance were neutralized. The battle was won. Virelian cities were damaged but salvageable. Thanks to human ingenuity and crisis management, civilians were safe, and the Virelian leaders formally recognized humanity as heroes of their galaxy. Captain Chen and her fleet prepared to depart. Standing on the bridge of the Dauntless, she addressed her crew. We have done what few would dare. Virelia is alive, their people safe, and we have shown the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated. Our smallest fleet made the largest impact. That is the power of humanity. Lieutenant Solis smiled. Do you think the galaxy will notice? Chen's eyes reflected the distant stars. They will. Today, it was Virelia. Tomorrow, the galaxy may call, and humans will answer, and every time, they will see that we fight with courage, intelligence, and unity. That is our legacy. Below, Chancellor Velen addressed his people. Humans are unlike any race we have known. They are brave, clever, and selfless. They came when we were abandoned by others. They saved us, not because of duty or politics, but because they chose to. Remember this day, Virelia. Remember the humans. They are our friends and our protectors in the dark of space. Across the planet, civilians cheered. Children painted pictures of small human ships in the sky. Soldiers trained with newfound confidence. Leaders planned for the future, knowing that a small fleet had changed the course of their civilization. Even the enemy, scattered across the void, would remember. 5 ships. Humans. Bold, cunning, and relentless. They had fought where others would retreat, struck where others hesitated, and saved where others feared. The human fleet left Virelia in formation. They moved silently through the stars, small in number, but large in impact. Captain Chen watched the planet grow smaller in the viewfinder. We leave not as conquerors but as allies. We leave behind hope, courage, and proof that humans, even in small numbers, can achieve the impossible. Lieutenant Solis looked at the departing fleet. Do you think they will tell other races? Chen smiled faintly. They will. Word spreads quickly in the galaxy. The humans who came with 5 ships will be remembered. And next time, when the call comes, humanity will answer again. Always. The stars stretched ahead as the human fleet jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, Virelia healed. The planet had survived, thanks to courage, ingenuity, and the determination of a few human souls willing to risk everything. In distant systems, stories would spread. 5 ships against hundreds. A small fleet that changed the outcome of a war. Civilians saved. Cities protected. Enemies disrupted. Humanity's smallest fleet had left the largest mark. And humanity's reputation grew no longer a minor player in galactic politics, but a race to be respected, feared for their unpredictability, admired for their courage, and remembered for their ingenuity. Captain Chen looked at the stars, her crew busy with routine tasks. This is only the beginning, she said quietly. The galaxy will need us again, and when it does, humans will be there. Small in number, yes, but unstoppable in heart and mind. Lieutenant Solis nodded. Unstoppable. I like that. Chen's eyes glimmered. So do I. Always remember, Solis, humans never give up, and we never stop fighting for life, for hope, and for each other. The fleet moved forward, leaving behind a planet saved, an alien civilization inspired, and a legacy of heroism. Humanity's smallest fleet had answered a call that no one else would, proving once more that courage, intelligence, and determination could outmatch any threat in the galaxy. And in the hearts of Virelia, and soon across the stars, the humans would be remembered not for the size of their fleet, but for the size of their spirit.